Well, I've got a really special guest that I'd like to introduce you to today. His name is Roger Manu, and Roger is the director of 123educate.Me.
That's right.
And Roger, I'd like you to tell our Fruition families a little bit about your story and how you came to understand that there was a need for some special software.
Well, this is a classic case of necessity being the mother of invention. I've got three kids, a 15-year-old, a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old, and I'd gone out and bought this great computer equipment, hardware and software, and I bought educational-based activities for my kids. And kids being kids, they go to the course of least resistance, and I found that over time what would happen was, despite the fact that these games that they were playing were educational or motivational, the kids wanted to go to things that were a complete waste of time, playing games which were non-educational, and then again, kids being kids, they started exploring and going into websites and onto pages that were potentially a bit dangerous, like Facebook and playing online games. And these things are, Facebook is a phenomenon of the 21st century. It's something that we all have to live with, but too much access to it, and at a young age I thought was too dangerous. We really don't understand the implications of what Facebook can do to you. And then online games that like World of Warcraft and other types of games which children can play for hours and hours on end, it's such a waste of time and highly addictive.
Highly addictive.
Highly addictive.
Yes.
It's incredible the amount of time that children spend on them. And so I looked around for an application that could guide my children back to a more balanced use of the computers. Something that would help them to use the computer for what I originally bought it for, which is for educational-based purposes rather than for improving their game scores.
Yes.
So I looked around and couldn't find anything, searched high and low around the world, and thought, well, I'm going to develop this software. And so we developed Educate.Me.
Yeah. Well, look, I've been talking for ages on 4BC, and there's been research coming up that computers can really distract children from their mainstream schooling. They have, the pop-up messages come in the middle of their study. And what I find when I talk to parents is that you assume because they're sitting in front of the computer with some of their homework books around them that they're actually focused. But what they're actually into, we often don't really get an understanding. So this software, through 123educate.Me, can actually build in a balance of time, can't it?
Absolutely.
For the user. So parents can set time limits, is that right?
That's right. So what we found was technology is a new phenomenon to a lot of people, and the IT, the internet and PCs, children understand technology a lot better than some of their parents do.
Yes.
And you're absolutely right. With the software, what we've done is we've created an environment whereby children get incentivised to move back toward education-based activities. And what the parent can do is they set the amount of time that the child has access to educational-based activities, and basically that is unlimited. And they then define the amount of time that they have for recreational activities,
right.
And that could be limited to, say, 10 minutes or half an hour, or you could simply say you have zero amount of time on recreational-based activities.
Yes.
And if a child spends a certain amount of time on educational-based activities, they'll be rewarded through a voucher-based system.
Yes.
So that
so they can actually earn.
They can earn
They
time.
earn the right. So if we then
Absolutely.
look at this as a parenting tool, we're monitoring the length of time that they're spending, but they know that, the children know that. So that means they've got to make choices and make decisions about what I'm actually going to do in that recreational time that I'm allowed to do. So I can imagine, and I think you talked a story about this the other day, about your son knocking on your door, in the bedroom early Sunday morning and saying, Dad,
Oh, it was fantastic. This was just after we completed the development of the software, and I loaded it on my PCs at home, and I decided that I wanted to have a lay-in on Sunday morning, and I knew that I'd set the timer to 10 minutes, which meant that my son could only do recreational-based activities or play for 10 minutes unless he did educational-based activities.
Yes.
And then what I'd found was he'd used his 10 minutes up because he was playing, and he knocked on my door and said, Dad, I'll do anything you ask me to. just to get some recreational time.
To earn some recreational.
To earn recreational time, that's absolutely right. And what I ended up asking him to do was, I said, go outside, jump on the trampoline for 15 minutes or half an hour. And out he went, he jumped on the trampoline, and you know, the way the software is designed, it's designed to bring balance back to the way children live.
Yes.
You know, it's bringing balance back to them, spending time outdoors. In fact, jumping on a trampoline is meant to be educational. It's meant to help and stimulate the way people think, and kids think. So it's getting them outdoors, it's refocusing them on educational-based activities, it's rewards-based.
Yes.
So
that could also be penalty-based as well. So if a child was not doing the 3 things that they have to do every day, which might be bring out the lunchbox and help with the wash-up and do their homework neatly and on time, it certainly could also be a penalty that they know is a consequence of poor behaviour. So they could use it as a reward, but it could also be there in the back of their mind that I've got something to lose for a change.
Well, absolutely. We use positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
The positive reinforcement is around, you know, you do your activities, you do your chores, and you can earn you know, the voucher to go and get more time.
Okay.
And the same applies with fruition.
Yes.
Absolutely the same applies to fruition. If the children come along to fruition, they do their homework, they do their tutorials, they can earn a voucher to earn more recreational time.
Well, that sounds fantastic, and I think this is only the beginning, Roger. I am so excited that Fruition and 123 Educate Me are joining together for our Fruition families, and I think that balance is the key to everything that we do. So thank you so much for this interview, and we look forward to sharing with you all about 123 Educate Me.